Hello and welcome to this video, and I'd like to update you about my plans for YouTube and Eurovision 2026. I do have a full script for this video because I don't want to forget anything, and there's going to be quite a lot to get through, and I also want to keep it relatively concise, so a script is the best way to do that. I won't be looking down at it the whole time, it's mostly just bullet points for me. And YouTube and Eurovision were separated in my initial sentence because more or less they will be for this season, at least more so than previously. If you want the very short version, I will not be covering Eurovision 2026 in the current circumstances. And if you don't know me, hello, I'm Luca. You're joining at a very strange time. Eurovision is a passion of mine that I had fallen into very quickly, very deeply, and I went from barely understanding what the Eurovision Song Contest is to being fan media and interviewing the artists within 2 years. I have never skipped going to the host city since discovering the contest for myself, and I will assume that the 12 views that this video gets will be from people who do know me, so there isn't further elaboration needed. But if anyone is joining me and you truly don't know who I am, welcome. As I say, you are joining at a strange time. To me, it has been 7 weeks since the Eurovision Song Contest, or at least Eurovision 2026, more or less died to me. I will continue to reevaluate for 2027 and going forward, but Eurovision 2026 is more or less dead to me right now. When I finally started writing this video in early January, I had said that I'm surprised how easy it was to cut out of my life, but I think I may have spoken too soon or in a particularly good moment. I kept delaying my final decision as to what to do with this season. Somewhere deep down I knew that I wouldn't really be covering Eurovision 2026, but I did keep holding out hope that maybe there's a chance. There isn't really a chance. I wanted to let the dust settle, see what everyone else was doing a little bit, and still be able to try and enjoy Eurofesta, which was an event that happened in Busto Arsizio, just outside of Milano, in mid-December, where I went, and it was very lovely, and I was one of very few people with press accreditation there, so it was exciting to me. The show itself, of course, just going to Italy as I love it. I've been learning Italian for 12 years now, 13, and seeing people that I've met this year in Amsterdam and Basel, everywhere, and a good chance for interviews because there would be quite little press. The day was filled with incredible moments and truly fantastic people. However, throughout I was also sad because I thought this was the end of my Eurovision journey completely. Now I realise I don't think that's really possible to me, but it would have been a poetic end to finish in Busto Arsizio before the Eurovision 2026 season gets going properly, seeing as my first Eurovision was in Torino, which isn't that far away. I have also been miserable about Eurovision on various other occasions, and almost every day really, but particularly on the 13th of January, for example, when the tickets went on sale. It was very weird not trying to get tickets, despite being registered with a fan account. All of that to say, I hate not covering Eurovision 2026. It has been more difficult than I expected it to be, quite frankly, but I do think that it is the morally correct thing for me to do. What has been happening over the last 7 to 8 weeks does make me very upset in various ways, and it also makes it clear to me that I cannot fully leave Eurovision 2026 behind, not interact with it at all. That's not possible in my circumstance, but I will interact with it as little as possible, truly. And I will not be making any content directly about Eurovision 2026 because I do not want to promote what is going to happen in Vienna in May. I will not be creating free coverage for an event that is directly promoting Israel, who are using the competition to validate what they're doing in Gaza. So no, I will not be covering Eurovision 2026 itself. That is the morally correct thing for me to do right now. And it does hurt me. But that's a very small amount of hurt that is being caused compared to the lives that are being lost and have been lost. Seeing as this is my channel though, what will I be doing? I do hope something, but it will be less for sure, because the way Eurovision is structured has been perfect for me. About 4 months truly on, like 2.5, then a bit of a month's break, then a month and a half-ish, the way it's structured and what has worked out to be the case for me making videos, with those first 2.5 months just peaks and troughs throughout the week, and sometimes needing to make videos until 5 AM, but still I got them all out, and then time off for the rest of the year, more or less, but I still made a couple of videos in the off season. The structure of Eurovision content creation is truly so perfect for me, because there's external factors, there is a clear way of doing things, but now I will find my own path for this season at least. I haven't heard any of the songs chosen for Eurovision 2026 in full yet. Obviously I've heard snippets because all of my social media is filled with it. I've heard barely any national final songs or snippets, and my actual excitement from me is simply not there. If anything, I feel resentment that other people are able to keep going on with it, and I'm working through that, but I do not have the same excitement that I would usually have for the upcoming Eurovision season. Right, Robin? Yeah. But I do get a lot of FOMO when I see people going to national finals or anything like that. Simply as a viewer or as press, there are a lot of people who I follow who have been doing that. I don't think that I can go to any of them. I can't imagine that I'll go to Eurovision in concert either. That feels like a step too close to me, which is sad. I have been going the last 2 years and it's been a wonderful event, but it does feel like a step too close to me, but I am also not crossing out fully. If an artist who is particularly exciting for me decides to go to Eurovision concert, I will still reconsider. In order to get a dose of Eurovision this spring though, because I don't think I can just fully leave it out, I am heavily considering going to London Hagen. This has been made more complicated by the fact that the London Eurovision pre-party isn't cancelled. I thought it had been in December, and it is not, and it's the day afterwards, so that also feels like a step too close to me, the way Eurovision concert does, whereas London Hagen is less focused on the 2026 season and is actually a fundraising event to an extent, which is why I was considering London Hagen. Now I will also consider London Eurovision Party together with that, seeing as it's literally the day after. Malmö Hagen was the first ever event that I had press accreditation for, and I learned a lot there. They're also fundraising, as I say, and I could also combine it with visiting family in England, so it would make a lot of sense to me, seeing as there is also less of a focus on Eurovision 2026 than Eurovision concert at least, and there's a good chance although. It's still not 100% though. A big issue for me in terms of leaving Eurovision behind is that I have a lot of friends and acquaintances who I've made through Eurovision, either in person or online. I don't want to lose contact with all of those people, and they are all at various points of stepping away or not, and it has been slightly painful to watch. I have been jealous, I'm not gonna lie, of the people who are able to just keep trotting on through Eurovision as if nothing's happening. I obviously can't influence their decisions fully, but it has sometimes been confusing as to how some of these people are able to keep trotting along. But they are, and I'm jealous. And it's a large part of the reason why I don't think I can leave Eurovision 2026 fully alone in my personal life, but I will not be creating free content for it. Even the people in my life who claim to be fully boycotting Eurovision 2026 were the first to text me about Zbeki representing Georgia, for example. I'm sure I've pronounced that wrong, but it's just an enormous part of my life now. I don't think I can leave it 100% behind, and I will be doing my absolute best to not be giving the EBU any additional money or promotion, but I will have to discuss bits of Eurovision 2026 in my personal life, because that's just the way it's developed, and it's, you know, I guess I could set a really firm boundary, but I also don't particularly want to, because somewhere in the depths of my heart there is still hope that the next years of Eurovision will be better, and that I will still want to know about Eurovision 2026, at least on the periphery. So I guess if I had no hope for the EBU, I would be setting that boundary, but because for some reason I still believe that public broadcasters should serve the good of the people living in the countries, and that the union of those broadcasters should still serve the good of Europe, I do still have some hope, I guess. And Robin is licking the microphone cable in case it's sounding weird at all. She's gone back to the king again. I did have hope for Eurovision 2026 even, for a very long time. Until December 4th, truly. I didn't think that Israel would be allowed to participate and that 5 countries would be stepping away. But so many of my concerns, even from the 2025 Equinox video, which you can go back and watch, I did that recently and it's made things clear for me, have not been effectively addressed. I am still very frustrated at the things I was mentioning over a year ago. So there are still some changes that need to be made at the EBU for me to be truly happy with Eurovision and be able to create content about it again. And sure, this all sounds like a pity party for me. It's not them. I'm trying to explain my points for you and also for myself for the future. In case Eurovision ever does come back to normal, to know why I stepped away for the 2026 season at least. But the things from the Equinox 2025 video still not being effectively addressed are also a big reason of why I'm drawing the line here. Like, I also hate that 5 broadcasters withdrew. But my own frustrations that I have proof of from over a year ago still aren't truly gone. So I feel like I need to stick with my morals, stick with my convictions, and not cover Eurovision 2026 on YouTube. Or any other social media for that matter. Just YouTube is my social media of choice. And it has been fascinating to watch how differently everyone has reacted, what everyone is choosing to cover, what people I thought were boycotting more are still doing and covering the various national finals, because to me that is also a step too close. I would love to support artists from across Europe, and I still will have a peek at their discographies if I find an interesting one. But I will not be covering the national finals because that is still supporting broadcasters who have nothing against participating on the same stage as Israel. And it's the same but opposite situation for me with Benidorm Fest and RTVE, RTV. So that is why I've made a top 18 video for Benidorm Fest. It's the one before this one on the channel, and I will be watching that. I did realise yesterday that I could have also gone to Benidorm Fest, but I guess I didn't really consider that around December 4th, and now it feels like it would be too last minute to organise, seeing as it's 3 weeks away. But I hope things change for next year, and if they don't, I will be considering going to Benidorm Fest. It's a way to support a broadcaster doing the right thing, and selfishly to have a bit of normalcy in the videos I make this year, but obviously it's still not to the extent that I usually do. There was also a moment in time where I wished I could have mourned in May, and to an extent I still do, that Israel had won in Basel. I don't want Israel to win Eurovision, not at all. But if they had, I would have been done with Eurovision there and then, and I don't even think I'd be making this video right now. I think I'd be truly cut off from it. It would have been easier to have a year or 6 months to prepare rather than effectively no time, because when the decision was made that Israel would still stay and 5 countries withdrew, some national final songs were already out. I think it would have been a lot easier to mourn with that long period of time, as opposed to like 2 weeks before the first song got chosen after that decision. I am sad to miss out on a year of Eurovision. If it does come back to normal or whatever I deem acceptable for my life, but as I say, this is the right thing for me to do morally right now, and for the world, based on what I know, what I understand, and hence why it's probably the right thing to do for myself. Even though it's hard. To an extent it's easy because my excitement is in there, but it's also hard to realise, oh, I'm not looking forward to so many things this year, and it's a bit painful. It does make me all the more excited for Carnival though, so Joker Out are benefiting from this. So what will I be doing during the Eurovision 2026 season? Well, I have already covered Benidorm Fest as I had hoped to, and I do still hope to go to London Hagen right now, but I'm still not 100% decided whether it isn't a step too close. I think it's fine, but I'm still deciding. But there will be more. I would like to create videos spotlighting previous Eurovision artists, specifically just more of their music, how the fandom is, how their concerts are, maybe their other passions outside of just music. I hope to get other fans involved, so if there's a previous Eurovision artist that you're a particularly big fan of and you happen to be watching this part of this video, let me know in the comments below or on Instagram, reach out. I will also be reaching out to people I have in mind already, but if there's a specific artist that you're a particularly big fan of, do let me know. I'm happy to have anyone on board. I'd like to make my own format out of this. I want to, as I say, still spotlight artists from across Europe and since these artists have already been to Eurovision, there's been a chance to go to their individual concerts and for a fandom to develop, so I think this makes the most sense rather than just picking truly niche artists. And I've also already got the network for it to get other fans involved. I would also like to experiment with other things. I'm not saying that I'm going to, be making a video about the volcanoes in South America. I'm not even sure there are volcanoes in South America, or anything quite that out there compared to Eurovision, but I will explore. I hopefully will still be able to do interviews, especially at London Hagen, but maybe also on a one-to-one basis, depending on the various concerts the artists have and such. I might also go a bit rogue and step away from Eurovision music a little bit and do a video ranking hero coin designs, or a vegan baking recipe, or a book review. Anything that I'm interested in, I might be stepping into, but right now I'm going to focus on those artist spotlight videos. I will probably branch out from Eurovision Pure at some point, like I did with the I Don't Know How videos in June 2024, but I don't think I can ever leave it behind fully. However, this has been a pattern in my life that any massive interest of mine does die after about 4 or 5 years, through no fault of my own, but my morals being stronger than whatever has happened in the fan space. So I hope this will happen again. But if it does, I guess I'm aware that it's a pattern now. I am trying to remain positive, and I don't really like the saying because it feels a bit cringe to me, but to an extent what I keep repeating to myself is that everything happens for a reason. There have been a few instances, especially across the last 6 months or so, where I thought, okay, so that's how it was meant to go. Despite initially being sad about something, eventually it worked out for the better. So to an extent, I am repeating to myself, everything happens for a reason. The biggest example I can give you from last year being my interview with Joker Out. As you can see, as you could have maybe heard throughout this video, I love that band. I am interested in them way beyond the normal scope of, they went to Eurovision. I knew about them before they went to Eurovision. I found them through LPS. They are truly my favourite band. They have been for 3.5 years now, and I just love what they do, and I love Slovenian as a language, and I think they are absolutely amazing accidental ambassadors. It was not meant to be that much alliteration. But last year I got told that I would be able to do interviews at Hedgråta Songfestivalfest, I'm sorry for my pronunciation, months in advance, only for them to be cancelled a few weeks before, saying that there will not be a press event at Hedgråta Songfestivalfest. The day before the event, I saw Joker Out in Tilburg at their own show, and I was sad about not being able to do interviews in Amsterdam, but in a moment of having a really good idea for some reason, I asked Joker Out themselves at the meet and greet after the concert whether I could do an interview with them in Prague, because I would be seeing them at that show as well. I'd bought tickets for Prague before I'd bought tickets for Tilburg. And they said yes, and then I organised it, and then I did an interview with Joker Out in Prague. And obviously I have to thank everyone for that. The band, Sanjin, their press manager, Andy, their tour manager, the venue, and everyone else for putting a stop to the day to an extent for me to be able to do the interview. I also need to thank Masha and Aline for being there to look after the eye and the camera and have me be less stressed. They also got some nice behind the scenes footage, which I do like to look back on, so chwala lepa wam. And I also need to thank myself, quite frankly, because it wasn't difficult to organise per se, but I did need to be persistent, and I also needed to believe in myself, because it's a crazy concept to an extent, interviewing your favourite band, and I believed I could do it, and I did, and I'm very grateful for that. So going back to that everything happens for a reason, if the Hedgråta Songfestivalfest event had happened, press event had happened, and I had interviewed Joker Out there for like 5 minutes, I wouldn't have had the full longer interview with them, the truly nicer chat, the knowledge that I am able to organise something like this. So while I would have liked to have interviewed the other artists at Hedgråta Songfestivalfest, a few of them I got to interview 3 weeks later in Bustorsizio, well, specifically Kyle, Alessandro, and while I did enjoy the show and it was nice to see everyone, I don't feel as much of a need to interview anyone else who was there obviously it'd be nice to speak with everyone, but Joker Out was my top priority, and it worked out for the better. So I'm just gonna see this as the same thing, that Eurovision dying to me, or at least Eurovision 2026 dying to me, is happening for a reason. I get to have a more chilled out season. I get to maybe still find a way to enjoy it as a more sane person, not as someone becoming press within 2 years of truly understanding the event. Yeah, so I'm just gonna try and enjoy this despite it obviously being horrible, and the reason why Eurovision 2026 is dead to me also being atrocious. So stay along for the ride if you feel like it. I also understand if you don't have a reason to, as it is going to be a strange one. It is my channel though, and that's why it's called Lotus Space 22 and nothing with ESC in it, because I knew that I maybe would want to pivot a bit or expand, not necessarily just pivot, and I wanted it to be my space, not a Eurovision area. Just because the camera died again and I don't feel like taking everything back out. One last thing to say, I'm sure that Joker Out will be a large part of what I do moving forward. So, and also Robin, of course. She's the most important. And that is it for the video. Thank you ever so much for watching this video. I really do hope that you enjoyed it, that you got something out of it. If you did, please remember to maybe give it a like, maybe share it with someone else who you think might enjoy watching it, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see what I've got in stock for you, what European music stuff I will get up to. Thank you ever so much again for watching, and I will see you in the next one, whenever that shows up on your feed. Bye! People who do know me, and I will assume that the 12 videos that what has been